Well, the TS213 is officially on the naughty list. Yeah, it went ahead and unzipped me a little bit. And that was it from its closed point, because its blade is, it's quite near the top on a lot of this. So, to be able to prevent that from happening again, I'm going to basically try to take some of that down a bit. So, figured I would bring y'all along for the ride, but I'm not going to do it here at the table. So I guess the next scene will probably be me out in the freezing garage. Well, here I am with a ghetto setup out here in the garage, and you can tell that the particle board top here is all sorts of full of different stains and all sorts of other crap from different craft projects that some other people in the house have done, as well as myself. Probably most of the lighter stuff is steel dust from me using this guy quite a bit. It's the Ken Onion Worksharp thing, but I have the blade grinder attachment on there. And yeah, okay, so here's the knife in question. And kind of what I want to do for a little bit of reference is take a little bit of Sharpie on the inside here to kind of where I think that the blade goes up just too freaking far. That way I have just kind of a little nugget of idea of where it goes. And for this, I have some cheap P100, or basically 100 grit belts. These are definitely not Norton belts, but hey, it's still in that same form factor of 1 inch by 18 inch that the blade grinder attachment takes. And that should help me out from not wasting any of my precious good belts that I have sitting over on the side that I will use for sharpening once that's all done there. But yeah, you can see I don't have a whole lot here that I'm going to end up taking off. But yeah, so with this thing, I never ever run this thing any faster than the slowest speed that it's set at. The speed is actually this little red dial down here. I have it pushed all the way forward. You generally don't need to move any faster than that, especially if you're on the blade grinder, because you can visually see something as it's happening, rather than it being in the black void of that V sharpener thing. So yeah, I just really don't like any heat building up in the blades whatsoever. That being said, I also do have the lovely cup of water and some rags standing by. So if I do feel it get a little warm after doing a pass, then I will certainly give it a dunk real quick. But yeah, you generally don't want to get it anywhere near more than warm when you're actually touching the blade down by that edge, because basically you have such a thin amount at the sharpened edge right there. It can be easy to burn the temper out of your blade, and that really doesn't do anything good for your for your edge retention. So yeah, you don't really want to do that. But if you're careful, none of that really happens. Besides using basic, well, this is a slack belt. As you can see, it flexes. A lot of times in the factories, they will have flat belts where this is actually running along a flat plane for doing the sharpening. And that's kind of why some companies end up having kind of burned edges. So once you sharpen it once yourself, it ends up having a higher edge retention. But all right, yep. So this thing, I have basically a little lock button on the side here, and then I can pull the trigger, and that will turn it on all the way. This is probably going to be loud, so I might do some doctoring of the audio if I can afterwards. So, all right, here we go. Let me move some light over a little bit. Bring it in just a little farther than that. A little dunkaroo in the water there. Alright, so that has been reasonably taken down to where I want it. As you can see, yep, it basically got myself in there. Basically, I dropped it between two couch cushions and then tried to grab it, and it came that way, and yeah, just unzipped me a little bit. So, okay, cool. That is all I need to do with that particular belt. But, at this point, I do now have an incredibly flat edge on the backside here. So I do need to reestablish that edge. I'm already set at 17 degrees here, which is what I generally use for those. So I can go ahead and jump in here. These are the fancy Norton belts, but these belts aren't the ones that normally come with it. These are the ones with a very, very stiff back. They're, I guess, mostly designed for Wharncliffe blades and things like that, but it does minimize the, not concavity, but concavity of it, so it is a little more V-shaped than the standard belts would be, because they don't flex quite as much. And that helps me here to take that material off a lot better, so that I can then finish the edge on a fixed angle sharpener. This is a fixed angle sharpener, but I do like that nice pristine V-edge and the mirror polish I get from it. But yeah, I only really need to worry about from about here down, because the rest of it is still ridiculously sharp. So if you haven't seen somebody use one of these things, it's not too bad. Essentially, you'll lay it down here on the little reference plate. And, you know, if you have a flat part of the blade, that certainly helps with that. And between these two rollers here is where your angle is set. So getting a little tiny bit warm. Always nice to err on the side of caution if you feel something start to get almost any warmth whatsoever. I should mention, yeah, you do actually have to have a little bit of control here. What I end up doing here is I'll set the angle and have it with, usually 2 fingers on there. 3 or more if it's like a giant chef's knife or something like that. And I will hold the handle there, and with those fingers, I'm basically pushing up on the blade, so I'm keeping everything steady and in control with these 2 fingers on top here. That way, it's relatively easy to fight and or correct that, and it also works super easy for switching over to the other side there. In case you haven't sharpened on a belt system or something like that, it just seems to be a really comfortable way to do it. Yeah, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. Also, another reason why I end up pushing up on the blade is the less force downward you put on this, the less flex is there. So the less concave kind of shape that you'll end up getting. If you really put a lot of force onto it, the blade will flex down and actually come up, and it'll either give you that apple seed kind of thing, like some what's the word for it? Some bushcraft knives and things like to do. A little bit different than the Scandi grind, or it'll just come all the way over and end up grinding off your burr, and you never actually get sharp. So very, very light touch as far as actually getting down on there. So. Dunkaroo. can't see, I hope. Yeah, I suppose a little bit like this. That I am raising the burr here. Just not quite all the way down that unsharpened portion there. There it is. Alright, so I have the burr basically raised on both sides. And while I can super easily go through a whole bunch of these different belts here, this is 200, which is about as aggressive as those guys get for the Norton belts. Or, sorry, was that 200? Don't think so. I think it's more coarse than that. Yeah, they call it X200, whatever. But yeah, we have X100, and then from there I usually skip down to X65 and then X5. There are steps in between, but hey. So I'm going to do that a little bit here. I don't need to do it on camera, but just to knock down that burr a little bit. Also, one last thing is once I do get the burr knocked down quite a bit, I have a little block of wood here, and I essentially like to drag the blade across there a couple of times to try to easily knock a burr off. It's something that a strap can do, but this is a quick and dirty way to end up doing that if that's all you're doing is removing the burr. But after that, I can then actually go back into the warm weather of the house and use my fixed angle sharpener to finish this up. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So I'll catch you here in a moment. Alright, and here's the final result of this little bastard here. It's, now I can't really get to that blade. I can, sort of hook my fingernail around it, but it is not going to end up cutting me, as you can see. So that's good. If I did care just a little bit more, I would have avoided trying to flatten that part out by doing a little bit more rocking motion on the belts. But I didn't particularly care all that much, and yeah, unless you knew that belly absolutely extended there, you probably wouldn't be able to tell after the fact. So it looks like we're good. The ergonomics on this thing still are a little strange to me. It's not bad back here, but not super wonderful either. But trying to choke up, my fingers just don't seem to land almost anywhere where it seems super comfortable. But that's okay. At least it's not going to hurt me. There's also, a longer handle to blade ratio on this particular one than you'll get on a lot of them. All right. Well, hope that was fun or useful or informative or whatever. And, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.